Season 3, episode 3.
Yeah, double 33. So those double threes means it's going to be a great episode. Every episode is great, but it means it's going to be a great episode. And this, I think, is going to be a really fun episode because we are talking all about our must haves, the things that we cannot and could not live without in the first 2 and 3 years of
Yes.
motherhood, respectively. And that will continue on for you now.
Yes.
But I'm interested
We'll
to
see.
yeah,
Y-
I'm interested. We should
Yeah.
do another episode like this, either as a bonus or maybe part of next season to see if your list changes, if you have anything that you're adding or taking out.
Yeah, because it'll be interesting to see if certain things work as well for number 2 as they did with Elijah. Because I
Hmm.
have some items that like, especially baby items. I feel like those are that's the time when you're like really trying to figure things out, but you really need help with certain things.
Hmm.
And those things that you find that you love, you cannot live without. And if you run out,
Absolutely.
or if it's something that you need on a consistent basis, you better have it on deck.
Yes. And obviously, so for our listeners, watchers, I mean, obviously, there's a lot out there, right, about motherhood and like all the things that you need to get ready for baby, especially in year one. But what you will find, and Erica, I'm pretty sure you'll agree, is that a lot of that you're either not going to use at all or just doesn't work for you and your baby and the routine that you eventually establish. So, same thing for our list, like the things that we talk through today, kind of take it with a grain of salt, but it's always good to share. That's what we're all about. That's what this podcast is for. So
Yes.
I would say for for me and year like the first year, like newborn, he's coming home, we're kind of learning each other. I think my must have list is a little unique because we didn't really go anywhere. And I know I've said this a lot already, but like the fact that it was COVID and we didn't go very many places. And when we did go places, it wasn't, it was usually him staying in the car with my mom or us going to like a family member's house. A lot of the stuff that I needed or a lot of the stuff that I would consider to be my like must haves, can't live without are things that I think are everyday items or all the time occurrence items. But
Yeah.
some of the biggest ones were related to teething. I
Okay.
don't know about y'all, but I felt like he was teething for like a solid 7 months. I remember being surprised at like 3 or 4 months when he started drooling a lot and all of
Mhm.
my village was like, oh, he's teething. And I was like, oh my gosh, so early? They're like, yep. So I'm like waiting on a tooth, waiting on a tooth. He didn't
Mhm.
get a tooth until like Christmas time, which is around like 8, 9 months for him. So for me, the things that I used that worked the best for him were the baby fruit feeder. So I think the brand that I bought was just like a Target brand, like it was a generic brand. But for those of you who don't know what a baby fruit feeder is, it's basically like it looks like a pacifier, except on the end of it, instead of having the nipple, it
Mhm.
just has like a mesh, almost like a little mesh pouch. And I would put frozen peaches, frozen strawberry. Once he was old enough to have food,
Yeah.
frozen peaches, frozen strawberries. That sit him in his high chair and just let him go to work. And
Mhm.
that it killed two birds with one stone. One, he got introduced to different fruits, and two, the cold was really soothing on his gums.
Oh
So it
yeah.
helped with the irritation because what I found is there's no like medication for over the counter like teething babies anymore. It's like everyone told me, oh, get the baby Oragel, get the baby Oragel. Well, spoiler alert, kids, they stopped making that. So there are a lot of like um non-medicinal.
Yeah, the homeopathic
Yeah,
ones.
the
I remember
homeopathic
we
stuff. Yeah,
tried one, the Zarbee's one, but I don't
yeah.
really feel like it really worked. He just enjoyed our finger being in his mouth more because he would just start chewing on it.
Same. It didn't
Mhm.
really do anything. I tried that route first. It didn't do anything. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? So I would say the baby fruit feeder was a huge one for me. Um, and then the Tommy Tippy pacifiers. So he was a Tommy Tippy bottle guy. And I'm
Mhm.
really, really grateful because it was the first bottle that we tried. And I've heard stories from other moms that have gone through, especially breastfeeding moms that are trying to like transition into or incorporate bottle feeding, go through hell finding a nipple that their babies will actually take
Oh, we
on a
went through
bottle.
hell trying to find the right bottle for sure.
Really? How long did it take you guys?
We went through probably we started with the event. Those didn't work. I think we tried the Dr. Browns as well. And we tried maybe one more that didn't work. And we finally got on the Nux Simply Natural
Mm,
bottles. Those were the only ones they have. It's supposed to be shaped more like a mom's breast, and it's softer all the way around, and then the nipple is supposed to be more comfortable for them, but that was the only one, and of course, it's the hardest one to find. Um,
yeah.
but it was the only one that worked, and once we found it, we stocked up, and it was fine after that. But it took a while to find a good one for him.
Yeah, I've heard so many stories like that that are similar, which I can only imagine because at the end of the day, the baby still has to eat. And if you're having issues breastfeeding or you're trying to transition or, like I said, incorporate bottle feeding for whatever reason, I can only imagine the stress that comes with like trying to find the right nipple. It's like,
Hmm.
can you just drink this milk, sir, because you need it to survive?
Right.
Um, so I was grateful and blessed to like the first bottle that we introduced, the Tommy Tippy, he took right to it. And so I made it a point when we started using pacifiers to use the Tommy Tippy pacifiers, which
Hmm.
I don't know if it would have made a difference if I used any other kind. That my brain was just like, well, since he likes the Tommy Tippy bottles, let me find. When I saw Tommy Tippy pacifiers in, at the time I was heavy on my Walmart stuff. Now we've moved to Target. But when I saw them in Walmart, I was like, ooh, let me make sure that I try these kind, and they just worked out. Those were a lifesaver for me because when as he got older and like more active and just more, development things happening with his,
Hmm.
particularly with teething, that was helpful too, just to soothe him if I couldn't get to him, or if I, and it got to a point where he was like a pacifier kid. Um, which I was proud of myself. I just cut him off cold turkey one day when he was probably a little over one. But the Tommy Tippies, the bottles and the pacifiers, the baby fruit feeder,
Hmm.
um, bibs, just in general, like I think every baby goes through this phase where it's just like drool constantly. They just might as well just
Constant.
leave their mouth
Uh-huh.
open and let the water just like, ugh. And so bibs, like if I was leaving the house for any reason, I had to stock up on bibs because I knew that he um, was going to soak through not only his bib, but potentially whatever he had on underneath.
Oh yeah, they did that heavy. And I one thing that goes along with that, because we always had that same issue too. But after a while, Elijah actually developed a drool rash.
Mm.
That, of course, because he was my
Oh,
first and I didn't know what it was, I freaked out and started googling everything and figured out that it was just a drool rash. And there's a product that is like a literal lifesaver, not just for jewel rash, but for any skin irritation on a baby, adult, whoever. It's from a line called Aven, and it's a skincare line. It's like a French skincare line, but they make a
mm,
product called Sickle Fate. This stuff, it's just like a cream, but it's zinc based. And
mm.
when I tell you that it cleared up his jewel rash in like a day, maybe,
Really?
and it's
Wow.
yeah, it's just a little cream you put it on, and I put it on myself anytime like I have sensitive skin, so I'll get like a little irritation or something. I put that on a day or two, it goes away, it takes itchiness away. I've used it on him for other things. It's absolutely amazing. And we'll everything that we're talking about that is specific, we will definitely link it in the description. On YouTube and on whatever podcast listening platform you're on. But that product is, if you have a child, you need the sickle fate.
I
It
was
will save
definitely
your
about
life.
to ask, and I know that we're linking the products, but I definitely was about to be like, "Oh, girl, send me the link for that,"
I
because
will. I will. I listened. The first time I bought it, I bought like the little tube of it. And a girl that I work with, she was like, because they sell it at the little boutique I work at. And she was like, "You might as well just get the big one." I was like, "Ah, I just want to make sure." And then, of course, I went through it super
Ended up
fast,
and got
and
the big one.
now I get the big, like almost family size because it's you always need to have it on hand because you just never know.
Wow, that
Um,
that is like a cheat code. I wish I would have known about that because one of the things that we struggled with in his first year is eczema. He had eczema really bad. I mean, I felt
I wish you would. I wish we
horrible.
were talking then because
I
I would
know.
have told you because that this line specifically has not only that, but they have other items that are specific for eczema relief
Mm.
that really do help.
Yeah, it was bad. Like he had rashes on his cheeks, anywhere where he had, and then like the inside of his elbows, the backs of his
Folds,
knee,
yeah.
his stomach. I mean, it was, I felt terrible. We ended up having to use like a medicated steroid cream, like the
Mhm.
lowest dose, and just
Yeah.
putting it on like at night before he went to sleep and like slathering him in Vaseline. Even now, he gets lubed up like a turkey. Like
Mhm.
he gets, yeah, he's never ashy because I'm just so like, I'm a freak about his skin because the eczema was just so bad in the first year. So that is definitely a hack.
And
What are some,
Elijah never had eczema, but he did. I want to say it was like after he turned 1 in the winter time, his skin, he would start getting these like little dry patches, but it would only be from his knees down.
hmm,
And I couldn't really figure out what it was. I used the single fate, it would help a little bit, but they would just like they were just dry patches. Um, and I think at the time I was heavy on using the Shea Moisture baby products. I really like their
hmm,
body wash and the lotion too, but it just wasn't cutting it. Like he needed something
hmm,
more moisturizing. So I switched to the Aveeno baby, but the creamy wash. So it's the one that looks almost milky, like it's a cream, but it does suds
hmm.
up a little bit. And to this day, in the wintertime, that's the only body wash I use on him because it gets him clean, but it moisturizes his skin. So he does not get a dry patch at all anymore.
That is so interesting to me because when I was pregnant, I like vowed I wasn't going to use any like Johnson and Johnson products or anything because
I was the same.
they've had so much drams over the years. I was like, I don't
Hmm.
want, and of course you get it anyway, so it's just like whatever, I'll keep it if I need it. And when his eczema started flaring up, I immediately went to Aveeno because in my mind that's like one of the mainstream, like if you're just going to go to a Target or a drugstore and get something
Right.
that's all natural for skin, you go to Aveeno, and it made it worse. The Aveeno, I
Really.
tried that exact wash on him and it made it worse. So
And
I
see,
tried all types of things.
it's different for each one's skin because I know his wasn't eczema because when growing up I had eczema myself. So I knew it wasn't eczema. It was just dry patches, just like his skin wasn't holding moisture.
Mhm.
Um, and that seemed to help. I did that, and then I switched. I wasn't using his regular lotion anymore. I switched to using, um, what was that? I was actually having to layer. I was having to layer,
Mhm.
like a heavier, almost like a shea butter type moisturizer, and
Mhm.
then layering Aquaphor over top of it.
Yep.
And
I
doing
had
that did help because that Aquaphor or Vaseline, whichever, it will really it's a block, it's a physical block, so it'll really help to hold all the moisture in. And
yep.
I know especially up there is hard because it's so cold.
Mhm. Yeah, I had a rule when he was his first winter, we didn't go outside if it was less than 32 degrees. And for those of you that don't live in cold climates, 32 degrees is considered freezing. So if it's freezing or
Hmm.
below, we're not going anywhere. So most of the winter we did stay inside, but in those fall months where it was like okay during the day and then by the time we'd get back depending on how late we were out, it would be kind of pretty chilly. That's when I would notice it kind of get worse, especially on his cheeks. So Vaseline was just I mean, his pediatrician was like, just slather him. She's like, it's
Hmm.
gonna feel like it's too much, but it's not because his skin is so dry and like craving the moisture, and it really, to your point, like acts as a barrier, but also kind of
Hmm.
locks it all in. And that's
Yeah.
what that I guess that could be for me in year one and even now. That's a can't live without. Like if we don't have any Vaseline, I gotta go to the store because
Right.
skin still, it's fine now, but I'm hyper aware
Yeah, you
of,
don't want it to happen to
yeah, I
him
don't want it to
again.
go back. So I'm
Hmm.
always like when he gets out of the bathtub, and the only bath wash that has not given him a reaction is Johnson and Johnson.
Really?
The Johnson and Johnson like nighttime with the lavender, and then because I even tried Johnson and Johnson with like the oatmeal in it because they say oatmeal baths help with like
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
stuff. That made it worse. Like their oatmeal. The only
Wow.
ones that are like the two OG Johnson and Johnson bath washes, the nighttime one and the just the regular one that comes in like the yellow bottle. Those are the
Mm.
two that even like bubbles. Now that he's older, I'll buy like baby shark bubbles or something that I know will excite him. And I noticed that he was getting like these little bitty bumps all over, like having a reaction. So his skin is still sensitive, but I
Mhm.
just was like, ain't this about it? Because I sure was like boycotting Johnson and Johnson for everything in me, just because not
Yes.
boycotting, but just you
I
hear
know
so
what
much
you
about them
mean.
in the news. I was like, I'm not putting that on my
Yeah.
baby. And
Well,
here you go.
they have a tendency to put a lot, well, not on in every product, but they put a lot of synthetic fragrances in there, and
Mhm.
that stuff is no good for you, and phthalates and parabens and all that terrible stuff. But listen, at the end of the day, you got to use what you can
Yeah, I was
use,
like,
and you
all
got to
right,
get them
if this
clean
is
somehow.
yeah, I was like, if this is what you're into, then I guess like okay, but I thought that was just hilarious and another example of how you have all these plans and think you're gonna do one thing and the baby comes here and it goes out the window. Um, so I'd
I
say
think that
mine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think that also leads into when you first are getting the baby home. You know how well even before that, before you leave the hospital, how they teach you to swaddle the baby, and there's this technique. I remember there was a book that everybody swore by down here because it was written by all these nurses at a very prominent hospital,
Mm.
and they have videos and all that on how to swaddle your baby and do all that. And I did all that crap, and Elijah busts out of every swaddle that you would put him in. So I got what I like to call the baby straight jacket, but it is not. There's several different brands that make them, but the one that I loved was the one called Love to Dream is the name of the brand, and there's this called Swaddle Up, and it literally it's like a little sack almost, and it has a zipper up the front, and it has these little cutouts so his arms will kind of go up by the sides of his head. And from the first time we used it, he absolutely loved it and went right to sleep. And it was
Wow.
like a lifesaver because he would stay in it. He couldn't get out of it. And it is like a jersey material. So it's cotton, but it's
Breathable.
stretchy, and it's breathable. And we did it from the time I figured it out. So I think he was probably 2 months, 2 or 3 months. I think probably 2 months when we first figured it out. Then he grew out of that one because I think they go from like 0 to 3 and then like 4 to 8 or something like that. And we went up to the next size. And then by the time he was done with that size, he didn't need a swaddle anymore. But complete lifesaver. Like I don't know what I would do without that thing.
I love that. And I think it's interesting that it's structured in a way where his hands are like up by his head, like on either side of his
Mm-hmm.
head, because the traditional swaddle is the opposite. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if I would have had something. So again, like opposite to that, Trey was not fooling with it. Like I don't matter how I tried to swaddle him, if it was one of the things similar to what you just described, or if it was just a traditional swaddle, I would even like sticking him into his Mama Roo swing, which was a huge like I don't know what I would have done without that thing. And it was the one thing that I was like, I want this. It was like the one big ticket item on my registry that I was like, if I don't get anything else, obviously besides a crib for him to sleep in, I have
Right.
to get this. It's a Four Moms Mamaroo, and it's basically like a baby swing. But for me, when I saw it at the baby store, I was like, I need this, and it has like you can hook up like an aux cord and play music. It has built-in lullabies. It has built-in like different modes to simulate like a car ride or a bassinet swinging, or it
Mm.
has like the white noise and it has the mobile. Like it was check it out, guys. We're gonna link it. It's I love it. Highly recommend. I saved it, gave it to my cousin Ashley because I was like, you need this. But I used to put him in that and stick the blankets, like tuck him in, and
Mm-hmm.
I would come and like arms pinned to his sides, and I would walk away and come back for like 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, and his arm would be sticking up out of it. Like you thought,
Listen, these babies are strong. They
girl.
strong as hell.
But I wonder if because all of those things that I just talked through that I tried for Trey had his arms either pinned to his down to his side or
Mhm.
across his body. I wonder if they would have been
It
up
might have
instead
been
of
more
free.
comfortable, yeah,
Yeah,
because
that was
it doesn't feel like they're so restricted, and I think a lot of the other brands of, this type of swaddle where it's like a zip up, most of them have their arms down to the side, and
mm,
this one in particular, I think I had seen some girl on either, like, YouTube or Instagram or something like that at the time use it on her baby, and I literally looked it up that second and ordered it right away because I was like, we need something, and it
mhm.
was one of the things I will definitely be using for baby number two. And I hope and pray that it actually works for him. I think I probably will start with a regular swaddle and see how that works, but if he's anything like his brother, he'll probably bust out of it too. Um,
I can't wait to see if your must-have list is the same a
yeah,
year from now.
I'm definitely going to compare it because I literally have everything still from Elijah. I did not get rid of a thing unless it was like really soiled or beyond repair or
Beyond repair,
something.
yeah.
But everything else clothes wise, for the most part, besides like white onesies, I've kept. So he will be getting everything or trying everything, and we'll see. I will other the one other thing that I would say that's like a early on item that I didn't think about. Um, but made a huge difference is getting the onesies that are the wrap onesies instead of
Mm,
the regular onesies um, that snap in the like the crotch area.
mhm,
The wrap ones, they only have them, I feel like, for little babies, but they're just like the plain white ones. They have them in long sleeve and short sleeve, and they have the snaps down the side of their chest.
mm.
So it is so, so much easier to get a newborn baby into one of those because you don't feel like you're jostling them so much. You
Yeah,
can literally lay it out and then just lay them on top of it and get it on them so
almost
much
like a
easier.
swaddle. Yeah.
Almost, yes. But those are something that I had bought and got a lot of just like regular onesies, and I had a few of those, and I ended up getting more of them because they made a huge difference. Um, and one thing that I didn't think about, because when you're, especially with your first child, you are just buying whatever is cute, and you're like, oh, I can't
Mhm.
wait to see my baby in this, is not getting full like jumpsuits or sleep suits or anything like that that are all snaps because you
Mhm.
will lose
Yeah.
your absolute
Oh my
mind.
god, yes. Oh my god, yes. When I got to that phase, so when he was a baby, like baby, like first 3, 4 months, I don't remember him having a lot of those. But um after that point when he had a lot and I used to.
I had a few of them when Elijah was like first 3 months, and I was like, what in the hell was wrong with me? Why didn't I think about this? Because
Right, you
first
need
of all,
a
they're
zipper.
moving, and then you don't always get them right in
Mhm. I
alignment. So
mess up
then you have to,
sometimes on my button still, be walking out the
girl,
house like,
right.
"Oh, shit, I missed a button." And so when you have a little somebody that's screaming and or crying, and then with the boy, if you're doing a diaper change, you just trying to move fast so you don't catch it. And
Exactly.
yeah, so the snaps, I would
You need
say
zip up everything.
yes. Yes, I
Unless
love
it's just a onesie where it's just the 3 little snaps, and that's not a big deal, but everything else, zip up. Save
yes.
yourself the hassle.
For sure. I'll definitely say that. I miss the onesie phase. Like,
I
I
do.
miss the onesie phase. I
It's
miss
with the
the
little
phase.
onesies and the little chunky
Yeah.
diaper sticking out.
Not enough to have another one, but I miss it. It was cute, but not enough to have another one
I
in
don't blame
the
you,
house.
girl.
And
It's
that would
it's a
make
lot.
What were some of your other kind of like can't live without go-to items? I'm interested because I know that you, and this is part of the reason why I love our podcast and just the community that we're creating, because we have so many similarities but differences. Like I
Mhm.
know our approaches, and like I know you try to be as natural as possible and all of that, and I'm cognizant of that, but I don't necessarily like lean into that. So I'm
Mhm.
interested to hear what some of your other kind of must-haves were for you.
Okay. So I have my list right here, so I'm looking right at it. So the other thing, and these I'm kind of going in, these are like the things I needed within the first, I would say, for sure 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. Um, Cloth diapers. Now, I did not use cloth diapers to diaper Elijah. He got good old Huggies. Pampers did not work for him. But cloth diapers for burp rags.
Yes, 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 yes.
The
For anything,
absolute
I
best.
still use them. I use them as
Girl.
workout towels. Like, I
Oh, they're
still
the
have some.
best. They're absorbent. They're
They
soft.
are the
They're the
best.
perfect
Yes.
size. The Gerber ones, I think, are the only. I
Yep.
think they might be the only ones that really make true cloth
Mhm.
diapers that are like that cotton and
Yep.
absolute best. I couldn't stress that enough. You need at least 2 packs of them because you're gonna go
Mhm.
through them
Yeah,
consistently.
and you're gonna have to
And
re-up every few months
yes,
too.
yeah, because then they get nasty because they spitting up all over them
Yeah,
and
and it's like you
probably
said, beyond
getting a
repair.
blowout on them. Who
Yep.
knows?
Oof.
So so for sure that for Elijah, he did get diaper rash quite a bit.
Mm.
And what worked best for him was not Desitin or any of those. It was Boudreaux's butt paste. It's in a red tube, or you can get it in a jar, I think, as well.
I think I've seen that.
Um, that absolute miracle worker on him. Like when he first got diaper rash, I don't think I really realized, I didn't realize that it was diaper rash because I thought when you hear rash, you're thinking bumps. And
Mhm.
initially it wasn't bumps, it was just red. So I was like, why is his
Mhm.
butt so red? And then I looked it up. Of course, Dr. Google told me it was diaper rash, and put that on. And within the next, whatever the time was for his next diaper change, the redness was cut significantly.
Wow.
Um, and it's just, I feel like it's pretty much the same thing as Desitin, but I feel like it's just a little bit stronger,
Yeah.
but still really natural. But that always worked for him. Um, let's see what else. The nose Frida.
I hate that thing. It's
Girl, I
scary. Mm-mm.
absolutely love that thing.
I've never used it. My sister had to do it. I was like, I'm not doing. I know that's my
And
child,
see,
and I would do anything for him, but I draw the line at sucking his goddamn boogers out of his nose.
and
No.
it's a lot of people that want my husband. He would have to walk out of the room every
Yeah,
time I
because
did
I'm
it
gonna throw
because he'd
up.
be ready to gag. And you know what? Before having Elijah, and still with anybody else but Elijah, I have a really easy gag reflex, and stuff like that grosses me out. With Elijah, I didn't care. Like it wasn't a big deal. I know there's like a little filter in there. I've never, ever, ever gotten a booger in my mouth.
Just
Ever.
the thought of what it is you're doing, because when my sister, because the first time he ever, like, the first time your baby's congested, like to your
Hmm.
point, you'll do anything
Hmm.
to get them relief. Like, especially in the times where we had our babies, because it's COVID. And so you already freaking out and like all this stuff, like just what do I have
Yes.
to do to get my baby some relief?
Uh-huh.
I went for the bulb, like the traditional, like squeeze it.
I did too.
He
Hmm.
wasn't going, and wasn't really
It
effective
doesn't
because
work.
their nostrils are so little. We should invent
Yes.
that. We should invent that. Guys, don't steal our idea, but we should invent a bulb that actually works for infants, because I was like, okay, this isn't even getting in his
And then it
nose. I
looks
don't
like
want to
it's too
hurt him.
long. You don't want to go too far
Right.
up
I
the
don't want to hurt
nose.
him. Right. So then my sister was like, well, don't you have I was like, well, that's when it's funny. Like when the first happened, at least for me, that's when you start going through all the shit you got at your baby shower that you just put away
Hmm.
in the closet.
Yep.
That's like not an everyday essential.
Uh-huh.
Essential. You start going through things like, well, I have this, I got this, somebody gave me this, can I use this? So I found the nose Frida,
Uh-huh.
and I asked my sister, I was like, well, what do I do with this? She's like, oh, I love that thing. You just stick it up the nostril and you. I was like, whoop,
Girl.
nope. So I was like, well, are you gonna come over here and do it? She's like, there's a filter. It doesn't get in your mouth. I'm like, gee, no, I can't. Like, I can't bring myself. It's disgusting.
I completely understand, but when I tell you that thing saved my life, I used that thing probably up until Elijah was like 2.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because it would like before up until, well, it might even been before that. It was up until he knew how to blow his nose on his own, which he does now, so I don't have to worry about it. But it would be the only way that I could get everything out. And for me, and this could be weird, I might be the only one, but it would be so satisfying to get all that stuff out of his nose.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
I
knew it
haven't.
wasn't getting up into my mouth. Now the air, my husband says I was probably getting sick off of it because I was breathing there.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't care about that. He needs
Yeah,
to get the stuff out of his
you
nose.
just want to get out of his nose. That part's not weird. I do have a slight, not obsession, but like if I see bugs
You
in
got to
his
get them out.
nose, I have to get them all out. Like,
Yes.
sit still because and I don't use any I use my just like I was if I would be in my own
I do
nose
the
in a
same
private
thing.
moment. Like, no, no, it's right there. Let me get it. Let me get it. And I have like longer nails, so I can usually like just get up in there
Just
and pull
pull
it
it right
out.
on
And
out.
you just
And when it's your own kid, you don't care. It
you
doesn't gross
really
you
don't,
out.
y'all. Like if you're not like if you're an expecting mother listening to this, or you just haven't started your motherhood journey yet, y'all, you're really not gonna care. Like I used to make
Mm-mm.
fun of my sister for smelling my like she would change my nephew and then like lean in and like not inspect it, but like look at his poop and like smell it.
You
I
have
get it now. You
to.
have to. You got to make sure your
Yeah.
baby's good, and it's the same thing with the nose. But I draw the line at the nose, Frida.
That made me think of another thing though that I do use, and I didn't put it on my list, but it's I don't know why because I still use it to this day. Is I use saline spray on his nose every single day, twice a day.
Really?
I swear that is what helps him not get sick as often
Hmm.
because it really irrigates his nose. He's used to it. He doesn't care anymore. I because I do it every morning and I do it every night before he goes to sleep to
Hmm.
make sure that he gets everything. Especially down here, we have spring and fall allergies.
Oh,
So
yeah, and
all
you
that
said it's
stuff,
really bad.
it's bad. So I keep at least two of them on deck at all times. And I just get I'll link some of the brands, but it's literally just saline spray. It's nothing medicated, nothing like that. I spray it up his nose, have him blow his nose, and it really does help to keep everything clear. And it's something that you need if God forbid your child gets sick because
Yeah.
it's so hard to keep their nose and airways clear when they're so
Mhm.
congested,
Yeah.
and that leads into my other thing, a humidifier and saline
Yes.
spray are like your two best friends when your child is sick because
Yes.
when they're little you can't give them very much. There's no real medicine unless they have a fever.
Yep.
um and even still, like I kind of I teeter back and forth with giving fever medicine unless he is really uncomfortable and it's like fussing and crying, or if it's really high. But I've given it to him when it's just like at a little bit close to 100, like 99.9 or something like that. And they
Mhm.
really suggest that you don't because it's your body needs to have that fever to fight off something.
Yeah.
But once they get uncomfortable, obviously you
Yeah.
want to give them something to give them some relief. But humidifier and saline spray, two
Yeah.
must haves that you need at all times.
I can't believe I left out the humidifier.
Mm-hmm.
Humidifier is huge.
Yes.
I did, especially for Trey and his eczema.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about, and not just me and his pediatrician, but even like my family members were like, well, you need a humidifier. And I wasn't really, I can be stubborn. And when people try to force things on me, I'm tuning you out because don't push me. But I should have listened earlier because his room, the air, especially with us living where we live and like in the wintertime, the eczema gets worse
It's
because it's so
dry.
dry outside, and the
Mm-hmm.
humidifier helps to create that moisture, and that did help with his eczema. Another thing that's kind of similar to the humidifier that was a must have for me, and I will find it, and I'm pretty sure it's a Fisher Price item, but
Mm-hmm.
it is like this little elephant, and its back is a projector, star projector, and it played lullabies. My mom
Oh.
bought that thing from Walmart, and when I first started sleep training Trey and like him sleeping in his own crib by himself, that thing was a lifesaver. Like I actually just asked a friend of mine because he bought one for his son recently that I saw on Instagram. That's like it's actually a humidifier, but it has like the constellations and stuff, like the projecting
Oh,
on the
cool.
ceiling.
Yeah.
And I'll send the link for us to link in the info for this episode because I'm gonna buy that for Trey because it is helpful. One, the humidifier. Two, it's kind of like a nightlight, and then three, it just
Mm-hmm.
gives them something to kind of like focus on, especially when you're sleep training, to depending on your
Especially,
situation,
yeah.
to get them to kind of like lull off to sleep. And then of course the music. Trey, music when I was sleep training, I have a whole playlist still. Like I'll be listening to like shuffle on my Apple Music, and then all of
Uh-huh.
a sudden, like I'll be in the car bumping like Mary Had a Little Lamb or some lullaby from Disney because I had to have that playlist to get him to go to sleep. He would not go to sleep without the music.
So I didn't think about this either, but this is another must-have item. I didn't ever do lullabies or anything like that, but I have a white noise
White
machine.
noise. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think I went through two of them. Somebody on my registry got me one, and I didn't really like the presets that it had, so I think I ended up returning it, and now I have this little one, and I don't even think it's like geared towards children. It's for anybody, and it's like a little tiny little black box, and it has probably 20 different settings.
Oh,
Some
that's
of them are terrible, and I'm like, I don't know who in the hell, you must be a serial killer if you're listening to some of these, because he changed it the other day. Like, he knows how to turn it on and off, and he accidentally changed it to a different sound. And it was absolutely terrible. And he comes running to me like, "Mommy, I need help."
awesome. Like, come
I was
quick.
like, okay, I'll turn it off because that is terrible. But there's one specific one that I put on every single night for him, and he knows. He's like, "Mommy, you gonna turn on my music?" And I say, "Yes," and that gets him to sleep. And that's really all I ever used. I don't. Elijah really doesn't have. He went through his phases, I will say that, of having, with the sleep training, and then he had his little regression when
Impressions,
he
yeah.
was around 2. But for the most part, he doesn't really have an issue falling asleep. But the white noise, I think, makes a huge difference. And I don't have any night lights or anything in his room. I make sure his room is like black.
Black. I think that's good because I think, there's some grown people that can't go to sleep without a light on, which I guess is fine if you're paying the electric bill. But like,
I
I
can't sleep with a light on. Like,
me
I
either.
will
It
fall
has to be
asleep, but
dark.
it's like not good sleep.
Yeah, same. And that's when I started using the elephant because when I first started sleep training him, I started with the music on my phone, but then the issue I was running into, I'm not leaving my phone in here when you go to sleep.
Right.
Like,
Right.
mommy got to get up out of here. So
Right.
then we ended up putting I think there might have already been a TV in his room, but he didn't spend a lot of time in his room because he slept upstairs in the bassinet. So I found shout out Disney Plus. That's another thing I'm not even gonna lie. I can't lie. Disney Plus got me through some hard times. Um, the Disney playlist that was lullabies, they had it like on the TV. I wasn't a big fan of that though, because then now he's distracted by the actual TV. So then
Right.
I moved to YouTube videos. There are an abundance of YouTube videos, just the sound of rain falling on a roof or a
Yes.
thunderstorm, and the
Yes.
screen is black. So I used that until I found, the elephant, or my mom bought the little elephant thing. And then another thing that I could not have lived without, if we talk about sleep regressions, Black Panther. I don't know what it is about that movie, but if you follow me on Instagram and have followed me since I've had my son, you already know there have been so many nights where he would wake up in the middle of the night. It's like 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trying to get him to go back to sleep. And I put Black Panther on, and he will watch and go to sleep. Like, there's been a couple nights where I put him in his playpen. That was another item that I depended on for a few months. But um, I would turn Black Panther on, and I would be like, I don't know what you finna do, but I'm going to sleep. I would put a pillow. I put his pillow, his blanket, some like stuffed animals in his playpen, and I would like pull it up to my couch in my living room, and I would lay down so that like my face is parallel with the playpen, and I'd be like, do your thing, brother, but I can't, like, I don't know what you want from me. I have to go to sleep.
Right.
And I would wake up, you're not really in a full sleep because your baby's still awake. So I'd,
Yeah, of
doze
course.
off, and eventually I'd wake up and he would fall asleep. But I don't know what it was. I was watching that movie one time when he was probably like 2 or 3 months old, and he was crying, and I had him in his mama room, and obviously he wasn't watching it because he's like 3 months old, so he can only
Right.
see like this far in front of his face. But it soothed him, it quieted him, and now he could care less about it. But uh,
It
for like a
worked for the
solid
time.
6, 7 months, I could not. If I couldn't get Black Panther somewhere, like I had it on my phone, I had Disney Plus everywhere, because if I couldn't pull that movie up, it was going to be a tough night. So that was
Listen,
definitely
you got to do what you got
good.
to do. Well, I think when Elijah went through his sleep regression, I used baby melatonin.
Mm, that's something I
And
never used.
that did help him. I only used it for a short period of time, and I was really hesitant, but I found this one brand, and I will put it in the link. I need to remind myself to do that, but it was one that was mixed with elderberry,
Mm.
and it was a liquid, and it was just like a little dropper, and I would give him like one dropper full before he would, like, maybe I think 15 or 20 minutes before you were going to put him down. And I don't know if it actually was that or what it was, but when I did use it for that period of time, he would go to sleep. he wouldn't get up quite as much. And he wasn't, I think there was a period where he would go to sleep, but he was waking up like at 3 o'clock every morning, which is even worse.
Yeah.
And when I used that, it did stop that from happening. But like I said, it was only a short period of time that I did it, because he didn't really need it much more than that. But one other thing I just saw that I did not talk about, that this is major lifesaver, and this also has to do with sleeping, because I would only use it at night. Elijah was notorious when he was in diapers for wetting up a diaper and leaking out of it. Notorious. Every single night he
That's
would
the worst.
either he would completely leak out of it. It would be either like one whole side of him would be wet or something like that, and I didn't know what to do. I'd gotten the overnight Huggies, because Huggies is all that would work for him. Pampers,
I
he
did the same thing.
always, yeah, Pampers he would
Overnights.
always leak out of. So I got the overnight Huggies. That didn't really help. So I found this brand. It's called Sposies or Spazies booster pads, and it basically looks like a menstrual pad without the sticky part. Um, so it's like, but it's longer. It's much longer. But you just put it in their diaper, and it
Oh,
absorbs all the extra urine.
that's
And
cool. I've never heard of that before.
I actually still have quite a few of them. So baby number two, if he has the same issue, he will be getting those too. But I would only put him in at night, because daytime he wouldn't have the issue. It would only be at nighttime.
Hmm.
And I would put it in there, and he never leaked out of a diaper again.
Wow. Yeah, definitely link those. I mean, again, I'm not having any more kids, but I think that's a lifesaver, because I don't know if that's a boy thing, but I ran into the
I
same
think it
issue
is a boy
with
thing.
Trey. I'm like, bro, how did you pee on one side of you? Like, what are
It
you
would
doing?
always happen. That's what happened when we were first using Pampers, because I think, when you leave the hospital, you take all the stuff in the room because
Mm-hmm.
you pay for it.
Yep.
The hospital we were at, they only use Pampers, so that's what we had at first. And I was like, how is it every time I'm taking you out or we're changing you that you are wet on one side? Part of it was that I didn't realize you need to aim
Me
their
either.
member in a certain
Hmm.
area or a certain way. But other part of it was that he's just a boy, and I think they
Yeah,
pee
they
a lot.
just, yep, they pee a lot and they pee everywhere, like all over the place. It's not just a concentrated stream like us ladies. So
Mm-mm.
I had to go through that same learning curve. But that's, yeah, I definitely want to just like check that product out and just see what it is, because that definitely would have been a lifesaver. I think when you're, and you could tell me if you had the same experience. I think in that first year you have more things, more stuff. You're discovering more things that you need,
Definitely.
and that make things easier. At this point, now that I've reached two,
Hmm.
I don't have as many like, oh my God, if I don't have these things, like how are we going to function type of things. Most of
Same
it,
here.
and the things that I do have are around keeping him entertained in some way, or
Hmm.
keeping him just from like losing his shit, like keeping it so that when we go somewhere or when we are somewhere, I know I don't have to stop and make it. Like a lot of it for me is like around snacking, like snacks.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but like it's a bowl with two handles on the side, and it has a top, and the top is like a it's like a dispenser, so it's not easy to get things in and out of. I bought that, still use that to this day, because one of the things that I introduced to Trey when he first started eating were like the little puff snacks,
Yep.
the Gerber
Hmm.
ones
Yep.
specifically. He that was a I couldn't, like, if I'm going somewhere, I would just pack a whole container.
Yep.
But
I did the
then
same thing.
I went from going somewhere and either him being so little, he's always gonna fall asleep in the car. So when I get there, I can just feed him the puff snacks or set him up where he can feed himself, or having someone with me that could be in the back seat and like giving them to him, to us like pretty much rolling solo, and him being older now but still wanting a snack, or like sometimes you have to be able to feed your kid on the go. And so I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
you know what,
always.
let me see. And I bought it before he was even one, and was like, you, because I gave made the mistake one time. We were on our way to my mom's house, very quick drive, like 5 minutes. I just handed him the whole container, and was
Oh.
like, he was still rear facing. I couldn't really see what was going on except for my little mirror, so I
Uh-huh.
handed it to him. I was like, well, there's not that many left. I don't think any made it into his mouth because when I opened the door, I have a picture. When I opened the door, it was just everywhere. So I bought that little bowl and I still use that to this day so that he just doesn't get stuff any anywhere everywhere. So that's one. The Gerber Puff Snacks, the applesauce packages. I buy
Yep.
the ones that are applesauce. I also buy the ones that are apple and veggie mixed. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super particular about the brand. I try to stick to the organic ones just because I feel like they're not that much more expensive than the regular ones, and I think it does make a difference to just have the straight fruit and veggies versus the fruit veggies and then like all the extra additives that they put in.
Yep.
So my favorite brand is the organic Good and Gather ones from Target. And then also the Go Squeeze ones. But
I get
those
the ones from Aldi, and they're also organic, but they're like I think $1 or two cheaper than.
to look into those because
Yeah,
he's
they
not
don't have
picky.
fruit and veggie ones, but they have different types of applesauce. Like they have apple
Yeah.
peach, apple strawberry, mixed fruit, straight regular applesauce, cinnamon applesauce. But we always have those on deck.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say those type of things now are like when I leave the house, I have to make sure I have a cup for him.
Always.
I have the little bowl with something in it. He likes Cheerios and goldfish crackers. So I'll put some of those in there. And then shout out to his auntie if you're listening. Hey TT Melody. Um got him hooked on fruit snacks, girl. My baby
Oh,
loves a fruit snack every day.
Elijah too.
Baby hawk fruit snack. Can I have some baby hawk fruit snacks? That translates to can I have some baby shark fruit snacks? So I have to have some combination of like the snacks that he likes in
Yes,
my purse,
all times.
either for bribing purposes, because I'm not above like, hey, if you get in the car without crying, you can have a snack,
Girl, I do the same exact thing.
or just to calm him, like and just like, or like if he's hungry and we're on the go and I don't have time to like stop and give you, you know what I mean? Like so that type of stuff. And then books. Trey really loves books, so I always try to grab one or two of the books that I know he really likes, and then like some type of little toy, and that
Hmm.
will change depending on where he's at. He's
Right.
not really a toy guy. He's always been into blocks and puzzles, and now that he's started to watch TV and movies, he likes certain characters, so he likes, like his Buzz and his Woody and his little baby shark stuffed animal. So something
Hmm.
that he likes and snacks, and we're good. Like those are
Yeah.
my must-haves now, and pajamas, which I was I was raised in pajamas, but I'm not a pajama like girl. I want to be, but I'm not. Like I can sleep in whatever. Like I don't have to sleep in like a matching PJ set, but I think it's cute and classy, so I'm trying to become that way. But for my baby, my mom's always like, "Why are you always buying him pajamas?" I was like, "Well, because I think for the first like year of his life, that's really all he wore because we didn't go anywhere.
Hmm.
So even now, like it's a must for him to like the other night, I know he was dead tired and I wasn't giving him a bath because I knew he was tired and he really didn't like he was okay with that one. And he was like, Mama, I just want to get in my bed. I just get in my
Oh,
I was like, no, you have to put your pajamas on first. And he was
yeah.
like, Mama, I don't want it. I just want to lay in my bed. And I was like, no, you got to put your pajamas on first. And I could have let him sleep in just like a shirt and his, little pull up or whatever. But I don't know, something about the PJs for me. He could care less, but for me, he has to go to sleep in pajamas. I just feel like
I'm the same way with Elijah. Like I think I was behind on laundry one night and I didn't have a matching set, and I was like, "What in the world?" So I ended up having to just put him in like, I think I just put him in his underwear and a t-shirt and
I know,
called.
and you just felt like,
I felt like a terrible
oh,
mom. I'm like, how did I
right.
not wash all of his pajamas? And but listen, life
Yeah,
happens. You're
exactly.
not always caught up on laundry. But I would agree with you. I think for 2 to 3, snacks are like the major thing. You always have to have them. And I feel like I've definitely turned into my mother in that way because I always have either some, well, right now because I'm pregnant too, trail mix or something like that in my purse for me, or a
Mhm.
granola bar or something like that. For Elijah, it's always applesauce. Fruit snacks again. I get the organic ones from Aldi.
They
He
are
really
so
likes.
good. I bought
Girl.
those last month, and I bought some Baby Shark ones for him like 3 months ago because I saw them and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna love these. So now he thinks all fruit snacks are Baby Shark fruit snacks. So he'll say, Mama, I want Baby Shark fruit snacks. And I'll say, well, we don't have the Baby Shark ones. When I bought those, I was like, but we have these. And he was like, yay, Baby Shark fruit snacks. And he loved them.
Listen,
And I
whatever
tried them
works. They're
and I'm like, these
good.
are so good.
Yeah, my
They're
husband is
so
always
good.
eating them up too. And for a minute they were like out of them like for like a month or two, and I'm like, what in the world? Because those ones are good, and I don't love giving him fruit snacks, but I give it to him as like a treat. It's not like an everyday thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, those. Elijah is also obsessed with pretzels. I don't know what, there's these specific pretzels again from Aldi. Aldi should probably sponsor me because
They should. Aldi, we looking for sponsors.
yes, because I don't buy everything from there, but I have my certain things, and they have these specific pretzels that are, they call them like pub style, but they're just seasoned. Like they have like a garlic onion kind of seasoning to
Mm-hmm.
them that I'm tired of them. I liked them when we first started getting them, but Elijah absolutely loves them. So we have those on deck, and they also make some organic puffs that are like the bigger, like cheddar puffs.
Mm-hmm.
He loves those depending on the day. Pretzels, he'll wake up in the morning and ask for pretzels sometimes. Um, but the puffs are, give and take. But for sure, all of those, and his water. And I was gonna say my favorite cup because I did. Again, I don't know. He must have something with drinks and like the receptacle that his drink is in,
He's
because
particular. He knows what he likes.
yes, and also I think when you're first switching them from a bottle to a like sippy cup, it's hard to find one that is they like but also doesn't leak and it's not spilling all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's the Nuck brand, or no, I'm sorry, not Nuck, it's the Newbie one, and I'll link it because they have several different kinds, but it's their one that um has kind of like a straw in it. It's like a soft straw up top and then like a regular straw in there.
Mm-hmm.
And just up until he started preschool, he was still using that cup. And that one was always awesome. I went through about probably 10 of them because he would tear them up after a while. But they didn't leak, and they're easy to hold. They're like ergonomically designed, so they're really easy for him to hold. And they held a good amount, and they're easy to clean. That's the other thing, because a lot of
Yes,
those cups have 1,500 parts to them that you have to
girl.
clean individually. This one is
Yes.
literally the cup, the inner straw, and then the top, and that's it.
Yes. So same. The cup is essential, and you can go through it with the cup selection when you decide to
Yes.
graduate from the bottle. The Munchkin cups, the Munchkin brand. So I use Munchkin. I do use Newbie. There was a particular Newbie when I first started. Like the Newbie ones were my favorite, like you said, because of the design, like so easy to hold. Some of them have handles, and it still
Yes.
has like a lot of them still have the spout, so it's not a
Mhm.
total departure from the bottle. But when I wanted to take it a step further so he can get used to just drinking out of a cup, I got the Munchkin Miracle 360 Trainer Cup. It took me a good 20 minutes to figure out.
Is it the one that has the little insert that you twist in, and then
Yeah,
you're
so
just
like, and you put it up to your mouth. So like, if you look at it, you're like, what
Elijah
the hell
still
is
don't
this?
understand it.
Like, what the hell? I had to drink out of it, like pour myself some apple juice, mom, and
Uh-huh.
figure it out because I'm like, what? And it's so funny because Ashley, my cousin who was on our fourth trimester episode last season, she called me from Costco the other day and she was like, I'm trying to get a sippy cup for the baby. What the hell is this? Like, how does this work? And I was
Mhm.
like, if the plastic part in the middle or like the soft plastic part in the middle actually comes out, and then you can see there, it's almost like a colander, like there are little bitty
Yeah.
holes so
Uh-huh.
that if, and that's why I guess it's called a 360 trainer cup, but they need to like include, I was looking for instructions, like how the hell does this
I
work?
did the same thing.
But if
Yeah.
they put it up, if you put it up to your mouth and you just suck on it the same way you would do a bottle or a straw, it will come out. But if you put it, because I was just putting it up to my mouth like a cup and just waiting for the liquid to come out. And I was like,
Right.
how is it
It wasn't doing nothing.
that thing gave me the flow. I don't even think I used it. I think I spent like the first 20 minutes trying to figure it out, didn't figure it out. And so it took me like a week to like full. I ended up going back and I was like, okay, we're just going to use the other ones until I figure out exactly what this is. But once we figured it out, those actually became my favorite cups
Okay.
because when he dropped it or when it fell, it didn't leak as easy as the ones that are just the spout, because it's basically still like a open,
Mm-hmm.
it's open. So those, and then there's another one. I have to look up the brand. It's similar to the one that you just described. It had the straw. So it was like a straw, and then the bottom part was like a circle so that it could absorb more of the liquid. Because, like, if you have a cup and the
Oh,
straw
and
with
it
the
did it have
liquid,
little handles on the side?
it had handles on the side, and then it had almost like a Buzz Lightyear helmet,
I
like
used
where
those
you
for
push it.
for a
Yeah.
while before I found the newbie ones, but those ones were a pain in the ass to clean.
Yes, and I could never figure out how to clean the circle part that would be in the
Yes.
liquid, and then the straw. Like when I started venturing out and giving him um, stuff other than water in his cup, so like apple
Mm-hmm.
juice or anything like that, I found that sometimes the straw would get like not stained, but I just felt like it was never clean. Like it just didn't seem clean to me. And that's
Yeah.
the thing with the sippy cups, I think all around. So we'll definitely link like our favorites, because I think yes, you want something that your baby can use and learn from, but you also want something that you're going to be able to like clean
Yeah, definitely. You don't
and
want
clean
them
well.
drinking an old juice or milk or anything in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's
And they
gross.
can get, yeah, it's disgusting. Like if you really take those cups, those 360 cups apart, and you take the plastic out and then you like take everything apart, you'd be surprised at like what can kind of like get stuck in there and all the areas that you need to clean. But I would agree. Snacks, entertainment, sippy cup, like those
Yeah.
are the things I'm finding now that I can't live. And then now he's old enough to just, no, no, mama, I want my Aladdin. I want my book. I want my this. I want my phone. I want my, like, his little toys or whatever his toy of the day is. Like right now he's really into this whistle that he found. He'll identify for himself the things that he
Oh
wants.
yeah, Elijah too. With Elijah, he's a um car addict. So it is any type of car. Mommy, can I bring my Mustang? Can I bring my tractor? Can I bring my fast car? Can I bring my excavator? It's always one of those. And I'm like, okay, Elijah, you can only bring the little ones because he has every size of every car.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's always that he always wants a car with him. So I'll let
I
him
love
bring one
that.
car and that's it.
I love that. I love that it's not like, because my like Trey will be like, I want my car. I want my car. And I'm like, okay. But Elijah's out here. Can I bring my Mustang? Like he's specific
No,
with it. I love
listen, Elijah knows. I mean, he tells me the parts of the cars that I didn't even know. So
that. I love
he
that.
knows that is his thing. He is
I can't wait to
obsessed
see what
with it.
that turns into. I think that's
I
so cool
know.
when kids
Hmm.
express interest and to at that level that early. Like you're like, okay, where is this going? Like, what are you gonna do with
And
this? It's
especially because it wasn't like we pushed it on him. Like he just
so
naturally,
natural.
yeah. And he loves to read too, but he likes to read at certain times. Cars, any time of day or night, he wants a car or a
I love it.
construction vehicle.
I love that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think it'll be interesting too how that list evolves as our kids grow. I wonder when your kids are older, I don't know that you have must-have items like that are like daily occurrences. I think you always have like kind of your go-tos as a parent, but I would guess as they get older, like we just talked about, they tell you what they need and they start
I
to
think so.
identify
Yeah.
what their must-have items are.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to revisit that conversation in a couple of years or revisit that list and next year to see
I was about to say just next year, just with the new baby, but also with each of our children being,
growing another year older. Yeah,
it'll be hell by December. It's going to be something new that they want.
I'm
Or
sure.
like
I'm
they're
sure.
changing so fast.
They are. But I loved this. I learned so much. It
I
almost
did
made me
too.
want to like go back and have another one to try things out. But no, I'll just
You can
experiment.
just live through me. That's
Yep,
okay.
I'll live through you and Ashley like I've been doing. No problems here, and myself because I'm still in the trenches. So
Yes, definitely.
figuring it all out. But like Aryka said at the top of the episode, and what we said throughout, we will try our best to identify all of the specific products and make sure that we link them so you guys can see exactly what we're talking about. And hopefully, if you like them, you can let us know by DMing us on Instagram at Shit Your Mama Ain't Tell You. We're also on Facebook now at the same everywhere at Shit Your Mama Ain't Tell You, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere you can get your podcast, and in Instagram, because we would love to know what works for you, what doesn't, and also share with us your must-haves. What things can't you live without? Because as you can
Yeah.
tell, like, we're still open to suggestions and still learning what works and what doesn't. So yeah, definitely share with us.
Yes. And thank you again for listening and sticking with us. And we are so grateful and thankful for you. And until next time, there's a few more episodes left in this season.
I know it always goes by so fast. I feel like we say that every
So
time, but it's
fast.
so true.
It does. It really does. But that's what happens when you're having fun.
Facts.